First of all, the money spray that my daughter bought for Christmas for me. You get some of that too. Fuck yes, we're done with this shit. No, seriously. Like fucking here. I don't want to fuck up my camera, but just have some prosperity, okay? Because I know you need it. It seems like 99% of the world needs it right now. And I am not going to get into global issues. I think the past few episodes I've really been paralleling so much with the tension, scare tactics, confusion, manipulation going on globally with our politicians. And they just got to figure out how to shut everybody up and make everybody money and keep us fucking happy and just distracted. But what happens is when we have so much of this in our environment, our online environment, and even our everyday environment, those of you who are witches or just energy readers, you can tell that there's a difference going on. Even if the day-to-day seems the same, you go to the store, you pay your bills, you run your errands, it feels off, doesn't it? It doesn't feel as enthusiastic as it used to. It doesn't feel as productive. It feels very like, why am I in fucking traffic sort of feeling, right? And what happens for me, for some of us who are naturally spiritual people, I'm like, fuck this place. Let me vibe with the demons. I am so happy doing that. Just being in La La Land all goddamn day long, or being in meditation, you know, in and out throughout the day and working on my gnosis. And I have to work really hard at grounding by finding activities that I enjoy. And I have lots of activities that I absolutely enjoy. And I stay present, and that's important, you guys. But what happens is when there's so much tension going on, there's so many high emotions, there's so much confusion, there's so much conflict, it almost makes the reality of magic mundane, for me at least. And I'm wondering if you feel the same way, because I want to reassure people, first of all, especially, you know, some of you who are new to witchcraft and all of this sort of shit, it is okay to go through seasons in your life where you don't feel magical. I went through like almost a 5-year period where I did still kind of basic magic, but I wasn't practicing. I wasn't doing spells. I was like doing a little bit of divination, and I was still meditating through that time, but I was not engulfed like I have been for the most better part of my life. And even now, I'm an everyday witch. I practice witchcraft every single day of my life. I feel mundane right now with my practice. Part of it's because of occult knowledge. Part of it is because of my own, you know, personal practice with demons. They teach you the reality, and that's still subjective, okay, because we all have our different perspectives, and it's really up to us as a collective to compare notes and not judge each other and not do this fucking inner conflict. I'm right, you're right, I'm right, because we don't know who's right. Conviction can fuck us up so much. But what I do know is that it's okay if you feel like the spirituality part, the witchcraft part, feels mundane. If anything, I feel like that's a good adjustment, because I've been really going through that lately, where usually I crave magic, I crave ritual, I crave dancing in my office when everybody's asleep, I crave, you know, demon interaction, and that is where I feel my most comfortable and my most free. I'm almost like running home and just like, you know, you come home and just take your bra off and you're just like, oh fuck, finally. That is how I feel with demons. That is how I feel with my office, you know, and my family's fabulous. They're all very spiritual people, and I'm very supported with my adult kids and my husband, so I feel really blessed all around. I don't feel like I'm judged in my own household. I've been through that sort of stuff. But when it becomes mundane, it's a plethora of reasons, I think. It's because the world's global conflict is kind of just suffocating us. And the last thing you want to do, like for me at least, when you have so much energy raised on your shoulders, like weighing on your shoulders, is to raise more energy. Because this is what we do. Like, witchcraft is all about manipulating energy. It's playing with it. It's I don't want to say playing God in like this weird way, like an egotistical way, but you kind of are, because we are of God's essence. We have the same capacity as other beings that were created in a more sophisticated manner than we do. This is my UPG with some of the demons, but we have that capacity to become gods. But if you're trying to chase the title of God, then you're missing the point. But one thing that freaks me out is, does the Earth's plane become mundane? And is that dangerous? Because I think it is. I think people, when they start struggling, you know, depression bleeding in, and you start feeling hopeless and what's the point, you have to remind yourself that the point is that there is no point. You get to make it whatever you want to. And it's just you having to do that work is what feels exhausting right now. And I've had to really sort this out for myself in recent time because I feel very overwhelmed. I feel like I've made so much progress because of Kitchen Occultist, despite me getting like no views for the past year on any platform, and that's fine. I'm still gonna keep grinding and working and building something because I enjoy it. But sometimes those thoughts will get into your head. You're like, witchcraft, I don't feel as spiritual. I don't feel as excited. I don't feel as free. I don't feel as this. I don't feel, it just feels to me. It feels like doing dishes to me. You know, where somebody like fucking Lady Gaga, who is a, you know, famous pop star, she'll work at Starbucks for a day because she's enjoying it, you know, kind of like really disconnected. No offense, but it is. And then the rest of us who've worked those jobs, we're like, this fucking bitch, it must be nice to feel like you're doing this as a novelty when the rest of us have to do this and we're not even getting paid a living wage. You know, it's like this conflict. And sometimes I wonder if that's the same when you start realizing that magic is kind of mundane, because the mysticism wears off over time when it becomes second nature. Capitalism also plays a huge role in mysticism. It's a marketing tool. Magic is very alluring. Mysticism is very alluring. The question marks of scientific blueprints, it's very alluring stuff, and we become intrigued at seeing something sparkly. But you start to become bleak when you see lots of sparkly things. And on the flip side, when you have a lot of intense astral experiences, you can start seeing the world as mundane when you wake up. No matter how, like, I've got a really enriching life. All four of my kids, they all get along, you know, with the age groups and stuff like that. They're all best friends. They all just adore me and do anything for me. And I just fucking cry and I can't stand it because they're just so precious, and I'm angry at this world because there's so many, all kids are like that. You know, all kids are just, most kids, some of them are like probably psychopaths or something. But, you know, most kids are so fucking full of love and just they pour it, and then you remember that you used to be the same. And even then it can kind of chip away at you sometimes. I feel like us humans, we struggle with that in general. It seems like a lot of people who have very intense lifestyles, when they try to, like soldiers, for instance, like veterans, for those of you who are veterans, when you come back to civilian life, you can't adjust. Like, it's really hard for those sorts of people. I'm a civilian, but I've definitely seen that. I'm also American, so I've seen a lot of military stuff, and you know, it's a hard reality because you're on no man's land, and I'm sure war is terrible. It's not linear like we think, playing video games or watching some documentaries and not being in those situations. I'm very grateful I don't have to deal with that. But I'm wondering if there's a freedom to it as well, because you're free as a person in other ways. I hope I'm not glamorizing that, so correct me, because I'm not trying to. I try to parallel what other people go through and figure out if there's like similar patterns to my life, because that's all I've been basing all of this on. I've had to wing everything my entire life. I've had to really fucking sort through a lot of shit to find what to do, what not to do, since like forever. I've just been alone most of my life. No matter what the circumstances are, I end up being alone a lot, and I end up just really chipping away when it happens for too long of a period of a time. And right now it's so hard because I'm trying to really build myself. I gave myself 5 solid years of selfishness to get my shit completely together, because I've been working so fucking hard my entire life. And we all know that this isn't paying off just doing the day-to-day, the 9 to 5. And now, you know, those of us who do make content or have podcasts, a lot of creators do amazing things. This feels like a job, right? But we're getting duped over here too. And I'm not going to complain, because I have the opportunity and the blessing to work on something like this. It's new and it's not where I want it to be, but I also am glad that it just resonates with like a handful of people. It's this really like cool little dark corner, and I get to just play and be free and not really be judged too much, because I don't get a lot of traction, so I don't get a lot of like negative shit, to be honest. Like, it's really fucking kind of fun. I get paid in other ways. It's weird. Yeah, that's like a weird thing with me. It's like almost impossible for me to conventionally get paid very well, like for most people. but then I'll unconventionally be blessed by the universe and just taken care of in other ways as long as I'm working hard on other areas. So it's like, don't expect it, don't be transactional, but give that to yourself. This is the time I want to try to give advice because of all of this, the mundane and just feeling bleak and feeling overwhelmed and just burnt out. I can feel people's burnout. I can fucking feel it everywhere. And I'm burnt out too for other reasons. I really am. I'm hitting a wall, and I have to keep on going right now. It's okay if you feel like you can't gravitate toward your practice, toward magic, toward witchcraft, even toward studying sometimes. It's also important to keep in mind that doing the polar opposite can be unhealthy too. Like getting too involved into spirituality to where you're just ignoring, because we go through seasons. I've done that too. I've just dove into like a fucking spiritual binge when life gets really heavy, because life tower moments will happen, and they always say like people die in threes. It's true. Sometimes more. They say things happen in threes. Like, I honestly believe that because we've probably been told it so many times that we all kind of believe it. We see it, and then you expect it, and then you kind of, I'm not saying that you manifest it like intentionally, but I feel like we have so much power, the human mind. Like, I saw a quote, and I think I've quoted it on here before, that we have such a powerful human mind, we've convinced ourselves that we don't. So that's all I mean by that. When I see things like superstition and scare tactics, understand that there's power in words and in anything, but you don't have to be freaked out and dance around everything either, because you're giving it power still. I really feel like right now is the time to get involved in your own life, to not have to worry about the world, not be nonchalant, but like to do something in your own environment. Like, see whatever like amount of space you have, whether you have to share a bedroom with your siblings, or you're in an environment you don't want, or you have a hella space, you got a big ass pad. Just imagine that being your energy field, like your energetic capacity, and imagine yourself being able to broaden that. And one good way of broadening that is like going out into nature, trying to find an area that's peaceful for you, even if it's like twice a week. If you live in a busy, noisy area. I live in a very quiet, fucking super peaceful area. Nobody's fucking around. It's nice. I still know what it's like, though, to have the complete opposite and to just be in like a really bad neighborhood, or even like a normal neighborhood, and it still feels bad. But like, I know what it's like to try to escape all of that chaos and noise. Like, I've lived in apartments most of my life, like many people, and it's just suffocating at times. But then sometimes it's like cozy and a nice vibe, and you're like, I don't need shit. This is all I need. I like lots of space, though. Maybe I'm greedy, but I love the idea of having like 40 acres with a big ass black castle with all my fucking crows and my poison plants and just vibing. No men. No people, and just being left the fuck alone, okay? Like, sometimes that feels like a goddamn dream, okay? Like, you guys know who Enya is. Apparently, the reason why she still looks like she's in her early 30s and she's like fucking in her 60s is because she bought a castle in the middle of nowhere and never got married or had kids, and she has a bunch of cats. And I'm like, see, listen, no offense, gentlemen, because we drive you guys, those of you who are super straight and everything, we drive you just as batshit fucking crazy. We're all broken right now. So please, I'm so sorry. It's not about man hate. It's just a reality. Like, you all are wired fucking differently, and we are just wired way too everywhere. And I'm sick of everybody. I think I'm just sick of, I can't even listen to my own self-talk anymore. I'm sick of that too. So we're going to get through things. But I think what's important is to keep ourselves in the present in our own environment. Like, I'm not going to give advice and say, you need to do this or do that. For myself, I have a limited time of being online. I try to limit my time these days because my life, when my phones are nowhere fucking near me, because I have two phones, one for filming and I have all my socials, and then I have an old like iPhone 9 or 10, and all I have is YouTube music in my messaging. I don't have that many texts, so I keep those fuckers away from me. Especially if like all my kids are at home, I keep everything away from me because I like to be in the present. It's kind of like how it was in the 90s when we used to just be in the present, and then we would go have designated online time in the late 90s, and then now everybody's glued to their phones. I think we need to be in our present vortex, like our surroundings. And it really does help us, because when we're so fucking connected to the metaverse, and we're so fucking connected to our spirituality, and so connected to global crap, and then we feel all the shit in our environment, you know what I mean? Everybody else, maybe, you know, your loved ones are feeling all the pressure too. The conversations are fatiguing. I have to put a limit on my household, because we'll just sit and talk about conspiracies and government shit all day long, like all four of the adults in this household. And I try to put a limit on it, because play is so important. Even with your adult kids, like my adult kids and I, we have like silly games and shit that we do. Like we have this fucking unicorn mask. And it's so stupid, but we hide it from each other in random places. And it's getting to the point where we're considering going to the hardware store, and it's just getting out of control. But it's just like this fun thing me and my adult kids, we all do. Like all of us do, and the little ones participate. And it's just this stupid fucking thing. And we try to do things like that without forcing it, so you can have more building memories. That's what's important. Is building memories with those that you love and with yourself. Like, you know, you being in a sterile ass room with one candle lit and a book on demonology is like a feeling. It's a fucking vibe. You can't manufacture that feeling by just watching other people do it. And I honestly feel like, from my higher self especially, that I've been really working at paralleling with without chasing her in this lifetime, building skills, becoming more confident. You know, I'm very self-assured as it is to at a fault, and I just try to stay grounded. Being in the present moment and working on those skills, you don't even realize time will pass by and you're a completely different person. It's just a lot to take in, and sometimes it can be like, if you know who the artist PJ Harvey is, she has a song called Is That All There Is? And it's it's pretty much like, I have the entire world. What else is there after this? Like, you're just bleak, and you are numb, and you're kind of tired of the same facade. I honestly feel like that's what we're going through, and we don't want to. Like, we've hit the peak of how our capitalistic hellhole that we created and co-created could be. We enjoyed it, we consumed, we bloated up like fucking pigs, we shopped, we did all this stuff, and now it's combusting. And we're mad because we worked really hard for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's like we work our asses off as Americans, and there's just this huge fucking facade that Americans are like lazy and fat and all this stuff. It's like, no, we're all fucking tired, and the food culture is just set up for failure, medications, all these factors that contribute stress, cortisol. Trust me, I know it. And then you get marketed to buy a bunch of fucking bullshit and gym memberships and all this. You know what you need? You know what you fucking need? I have a garage with a fucking frame that I do dead hangs on and just do burpees. Just go for a walk. I'm fucking telling you, like, capitalism just has us convinced that we need all this extra shit in order to feel comfortable with getting uncomfortable, and then we get so comfortable, we never get uncomfortable. And listen, you do whatever the fuck makes you happy. If going to the gym makes you happy, fucking naked, I honestly don't care. And filming's illegal here in gyms in Australia. Thank fuck for that, because it's fatiguing. All right, it's fucking fatiguing. The world is just fatiguing. That's one reason why I don't like filming in public. It's not about caring what other people think. It's not being intrusive, because people do TikToks here, but it's not as crazy as it is in the US. It just seems like everybody's fucking doing a jig and a dance, and I just don't want to be like that here. I want to just lay the fuck low. But regardless, I think that we need to disconnect a little bit. Does that sound weird? Like I said, please do whatever makes you happy. But I think we need to disconnect from all this shit for a bit and get back to fucking living, because we are just living in like the multiverse, right? We are living like in other dimensions when we are online. You're watching a preserved video from my past. And we learn from each other. I think it's so important. The internet is so amazing. Everything's got a double edge to it in the universe. But I think that we have hit this wall where our systems have simultaneously siphoned spirituality out of a lot of people, to the point where we go fucking completely desperate and we seek it. We are burnt out. We're not entertained anymore because we have to be entertained for everything. We have to be entertained when we vote in the United States. We have to be entertained when we go to the fucking gym. We have to be entertained when we eat every single meal. We are just starving because we're overworked and we're not compensated and we're not treated like human beings. We really not. Look at Australia has a lot of problems. And I see it turning into a mini Big Brother. And that's a big conversation here. And it always has been, because a lot of Australians did not want Black Friday, didn't want the bullshit, didn't want Amazon, wanted to just stay the fuck into the US and leave us be. And I was like, about Black Friday, I was like, absolutely, just do not bring it here. But, you know, Amazon and all this other shit, when my first 6 months here, I was bitching. I'm like, man, this fucking place is like the 90s. Because it was like doing a time warp into like the late 90s when I got here in 2016. And it was nice. My 2 older kids got to have like a reasonable adolescence. They got to do a bunch of cool shit. And I didn't have to worry. But I will say, as an American living here, it took me a year to adjust to low-cost free healthcare. I fucking couldn't wrap my head around it, and people here couldn't wrap their head around the fact that I was feeling uncomfortable, like I'm taking something from somebody. You know, like it was like this fucking weird thing, and then you know that your country's a sham. We know that it's a complete joke in the U.S. Like the healthcare, it's not a healthcare system. We need to call it a healthcare scam. It's not a healthcare system. It's fucking fraud. It's healthcare fraud and a healthcare scam. There's no real health care provided in the United States. There are good and decent doctors. There is a fucking scam of a system that wants you to be sick, and when it's time for you to die, they're going to reject you. And here in Australia, you don't have to worry about that. You know, and listen, I have been seeing a lot of conversations about Americans wanting to move here now. Don't. The visa process here is corrupt, okay? It's a multi-billion-dollar fucking industry with a 63% rejection rate, and I'm in the middle of a legal battle with the government here because of my pending case that has taken years. It will siphon years out of your fucking life. It has challenged my marriage. It has challenged my mental health. It's challenged me fucking staying alive, to be honest. I've been suicidal over this because you can't work, you can't study, you can't travel, your kids can't even date. My kids are not allowed to have a fucking partner. They don't want one right now, luckily, I guess, for them, because they're just building their own careers and doing like everything right. And as a parent, it's just nerve-wracking because you want your kids just to be happy and to thrive. And our system's not allowing it. And spiritually, it takes a toll on us. I think spiritually, it takes a toll on people where we either see it as escapism at times. And I have definitely done that. And I don't want to. I get afraid of doing that because I have such a close communion with demons, and I see things, and I have visions, and I have vivid experiences. If you were to come to my house and spend the night, you're going to hear bumps, and it's not just the house settling. Like, you're going to have significant things happen. My family, we're all so used to it, and I've been used to it my whole life as well. Just being around high energetic spiritual people in my bloodline, and it becomes very mundane in that it makes you depressed. It's okay to feel that way. And what's important is to not feel like you have to force your practice. Maybe you can light a candle for yourself. I think during those times, like, I'll keep it to a minimum, and I'll do like a self-healing candle, maybe like a light blue candle and a little bit of mugwort. Maybe your anointing oil for protection or clarity. Do something. Just something small that doesn't take much energy, that doesn't make you feel pressured or that you're going to freak out and do it wrong. And please understand, as much as energy manipulation can backfire, just like a science experiment, you know, something could go kaboom if you're mixing things together and they're not supposed to be mixed together at this time or this temperature, that sort of thing. For basic things like that, please don't worry. I just get a lot of messages from, you know, newer witches. I don't like the term baby witch. I tried just to make all the kids happy, but I can't fucking stomach it anymore. You're not a baby. You are powerful, and you just don't remember right now because we're under this spell as a human race, and religion is part of those spell systems that wants you to forget. It wants you to feel like you have to be so scared and run to God or just shun everything and just die doing the 9 to 5. And that's what I believe. I believe that when people are scared of magic, but they feel so connected, but they're like, I keep dipping my toe in the water and it's fine, but you are trying to remember who you are. I believe that's up to you to sort out for yourself. But I genuinely, I believe that for certain people, for a lot of people, to be honest. But I think the key is just to staying in our present moment and to try to fix our own environments. I'm not going to scare people and say, you got to do this and you got to do that. I personally believe it's good to be a warrior in the garden, be prepared, know how to defend yourself, have some supplies on hand. I'm happy to add that stuff to Kitchen Occultist. I'm trying to get through editing and I'm exhausted right now. It's a lot of work, and I'm doing this even without Kitchen Occultist, so it's not like I only do this when the camera's on. It's my problem is I'm so fucking busy. I just wish I had more time to film and sit down and edit, and I'm really trying to make it happen. But I do believe that you should be prepared, spiritually protected, physically protected. Like, self-defense is important, I believe. That doesn't mean that you have to be cocky and think you're going to outtake people. It's most likely not the case. But I think if you have that layer of confidence, when these sort of situations arise where you feel conflicted with your feelings and you feel kind of hopeless, you can understand that your human chemistry is feeling that way because it's responding to this fucked up environment. And you almost have like your spiritual self mentally step out of the avatar, out of the human body, and go, it's kind of malfunctioning right now. And this has happened before, and we got through it. I'm just going to do something in the present. And hey, if you don't want to log off the internet, watch a fucking movie. Watch an old movie. Watch some sitcom or something funny, because we don't have a lot of that anymore. Everything is like propaganda, and it has been since the 80s, to be honest. Like, everything from Top Gun was propaganda to get people to enlist into the U.S. Air Force. TV shows, kids programs, it's all propaganda. We can sort through that and find something that's just art. Find something that's a documentary on something we're interested in about this world. Whether it's archaeology, whether it's music theory, whether it's something that doesn't have to be doom and gloom and big pharma and this and that and the food industry and the sugar industry. I did that for fucking years because of just learning the ropes of being a cook, and you learn all this shit. It's all a lot, but it becomes very numbing. You become very pessimistic. And I think that's the curse within demonolatry, to be honest, is if you're going to ask for hidden knowledge, you're going to really see the reality of our world, and whether we want to or not right now, because of the era we're in, you know, Pluto being in Aquarius, just like it was last time the French Revolution happened. We're seeing things open up. We're in the year of 9, and we're in the age of Aquarius. And I can't help but fucking just ride off of that, because I'm a life path 9, and I'm like an Aquarius sun rising stellium. I've got a lot going on, and I feel a lot of just conflicting shifts within myself, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who are going to succeed through all this while things are simultaneously getting chaotic. And that, I don't know if this is demonic attachment. Maybe some of you can answer this. But every single time something really good happens in my life, there's like tragedy either in my external environment or like globally. I don't know, like anytime I give birth, somebody dies, or multiple people do, or some big thing happens. Anytime that I graduate from something, anytime that something good happens for me, anytime my money is right, there's just like a lot of the opposite around me, and I don't know how to wrap my head around it. But I also want to make it clear that that doesn't mean I'm anticipating it, like, yeah, you know, it's hard, because like the world is really devastated, and you have empathy, you know, you do care, you give a shit, and we try to, we only have the capacity to care about so much as a human being. And I think the problem is we're so oversaturated with how fucking bad the world is. And it sucks, because the world's simultaneously so beautiful, and there's so many beautiful, amazing, just kind people in the world. We will support for the right cause. We will support our own communities. We try really hard to see the best in people. We try to help people. Some of us are just like gift givers. That simultaneously makes me so fucking angry. But like that's the curse. Like they teach you, the demons kind of show you what everything really is. And then when you see so much going on, especially because of the internet, you try to broadcast how much you care because you don't feel anything. But in reality, we're not supposed to fucking know it's this bad. We're supposed to be focusing on our own villages, our own families, our own communities, or just keeping to ourselves, because that's okay too. Not everybody needs a village. I don't know how to have a village. I've never had one. I raised my 2 eldest ones, like, you know, they had both of their parents in the environment, but I had nobody. Nobody is ever, I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I've never had that. I've always been an afterthought, and everybody's there if there's a party going on, but I've never had a fucking baby shower. I've never had any support. Like, I've just kind of done things on my own. I've gone through my pregnancies on my own. With a partner, you know, which is more than enough, and I'm very blessed for that, at least. I've graduated. I've gone through divorce and marriage and everything on my own. And you grieve for a village, but then you get to this point where you're not sure if you ever needed one. And then you become very like numb and conflicted too. And I know my generation is going through that. This isn't like a me issue. I know a lot of you guys go through that too, because you guys are open about your lives at times. And it really does help me. Not that you're fucking fucked up too. Like, well, I feel better about myself that this guy's an asshole too. Like, no. It's just like jarring when you feel so alone in all of this, and you're trying to navigate this shit since day one, and you just look around you and everybody's fucked up and everything's fucking crazy, and like it is. Some of us had very, very intense lives since birth, like very intense people and very intense, you know, everything was just intense. Emotions were just always intense. It was never just calm. And you take all of that sort of energy and that strength and that weight with you, and you try to navigate life. And then, you know, for me as a parent, I'm like, I am so fucked up, and how do I make it okay for these guys? And you're just trying, and you're anxious, and then you're just burnt out. And then you just cry to the devil, and you're like, please help me, because God ain't fucking doing a goddamn thing. It really just seems like that motherfucker likes this shit. And then sure enough, you start reading about the war scrolls, you start reading about Yahweh, you start reading about all of these like systems, these psychological systems that are set in place to keep people scared as fuck. And every motherfucker at the top of these religions always seems to be the most worldly, don't they? They never seem to be like, they'll act like it is. Like, I'm always beefing with the Pope. On my fucking life, because that dude, like, that, he ain't acting like Christ. He's not acting like Yeshua at all. He's sitting there with his satin fucking robes, doing goofy shit, kissing the Rothschilds' rings, and fucking having, not the Mardi Gras, the Carnival dancers. Carnival is a big thing in Brazil, and they had, I saw a video of the Pope and like all these cuties with their bikinis, they're doing cartwheels with their legs open, and the Pope's sitting there putting hula hoops on their legs. That's fine and dandy, but you're the fucking Pope. You're not supposed to be doing shit like that. You're not supposed to be coveting women and putting on a circus while your people are hungry. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That is not Christ-like. All these religions are fucking scams. And the only people that seem to be virtuous in their religions are the ones that are living in the motherfucking desert and not collecting money from the poor folks around them. Not collecting that 10%. That fucking manager's fee. That's what that tithing is. It's a fucking manager's fee. And speaking of money and 10%, you know what? I honestly recommend getting some transmutation system set up. So if people are copying your shit or stealing your work, or if you have business, fucking transmutate that shit and take your cut. Because I promise you, they'll lose their cut somehow, and you will come up somehow. All of a sudden, you'll have an extra this or an extra that. It works every time. But see, look, and that's my point about Magick and Mundane. It ain't that serious, is it? Like, none of this is that, like outside of the global suffering and all of this shit. I meant like beefing with stupid people trying to take your fucking ideas, or beefing with stupid people because they're copying your shoes, or any of this bullshit that we do. We make purpose and we invoke feelings from those circumstances because we choose to, or we're not programmed how to control it quite yet. We make purpose. And sometimes you're too burnt out to make purpose, and then you feel guilty. I hear that from women all of the time who are witches, and they feel like they're not real witches because they're not making everything by hand. You are fine to just buy things and add your own energy to them. I like doing this because I have this fucking chronic void to fill. And I've been just I like to stay busy. But on my path, I've also learned to not be busy and to just be in the present and do nothing and think nothing too. It's very important. But you're just tired. You don't have to know everything. Like, I've been doing this shit for decades too. Like, I have a plethora of experiences that I have accumulated since I was a child. And now here I am in middle-aged adulthood and probably hitting fucking menopause soon. I'm still doing it, and I haven't mastered my crafts yet. I haven't mastered cooking. I'm not even a pastry chef. I am a chef, but I work the hotline, and I have some pastry experience, but my pastries aren't as good as all these other beautiful creators. I do it because I like to do it, and I just share what I'm learning or what I know. In terms of herbalism, I've been a domestic herbalist on and off for most of my life since, like, I was younger. Herbalism was always in my environment too. We always have remedies and all kinds of shit. And I've just started gardening a few years ago, like 5 years ago, and I'm barely getting good at it. Like, it takes time. I've played music for 25 years. I've got a bunch of skills, but that was kind of like an issue that I had that the devil helped me kind of unravel, is I was trying to be excellent at shit. I couldn't help it. I thought of Bill and Ted, I swear. I know some of you did too. I did, though. I was trying to be excellent in, like, S-class at shit because I was trying to feel something. I was trying to feel accomplished for myself silently. And then it never happens. You know, you don't never feel it no matter what. No matter if it's a big win or a small win, you just don't feel it. And when you let go and you understand what you were doing, then you start understanding the actual craft and appreciating it and learning. You know, I play guitar and I have since I was 16 years old. And my hands are fucking shot from it. And I play for my kids. I mostly play Baby Shark, to be honest, these days. It fucking drives me nuts. But, you know, you learn something or you relearn skills and you mature with those crafts too. When I was younger, I had really poor habits where I would rest my pinky on the fretboard. I would do all this stupid shit. And as a grown-ass adult, you fine-tune that and you start adding those disciplines in that you might have slipped up on. And sometimes it's okay to have little sloppy mistakes and things that you do that work for you if you have a rhythm with whatever it is that you're doing. But my point in that is you're then engulfed in the present time. You're engulfed in mastering something, and it feels good when you finally get something down, when you finally just take the time to dedicate and use your hands if you can. Use your hands. My hands are like my favorite thing. You know, my little Mickey Mouse fucking hamburger help you motherfucker hands. I love my hands because they can do a lot, and I try to take good care of them. And when I'm in the present and I'm working with them and my mind's connecting with this body, it feels really good. And you feel super cool too when you accomplish something and you're like, that was badass, and you get excited and you raise energy and you start to feel better for those reasons. You don't feel like you have to chase something. And with witchcraft, I noticed because of social media and capitalism and just a lot of people's opinions, really, whether they're unhealed or not, people feel like they're inadequate in their craft, and then that can become mundane for people. Like, oh, well, this is overwhelming. This bitch over here is doing fucking rituals and raising the dead outside on her property, and she's dancing naked in the fucking rain and doing choreography. That is totally okay. But you don't have to compare yourself with that person doing that. You don't know why that witch is doing that. She might have been driven because of pain, most likely. She is fucking screaming. Her primordial aspect is coming fucking through and sick of it all. And I feel her. Absolutely, I feel her come out. I feel my first aspect come out. I know exactly who she is. And that's a freedom. And that comes with experience. That comes with being in the present in this life. We're trying to understand what we are. And right now, we have been under a spell for thousands of years. Because I honestly believe that the fallen angels, they saw our capacity and our potential. And of course, as we know, that they fell in love with women and they didn't like dive down from the fucking skies. People are stupid, dude. I'm sorry, but they're like, oh, they just dove in and just their dick just fell right in. Like, it's just so fucking crazy, the shit I see, like, on Christian podcasts I quietly watch. And it's just... It's not how it happened. UPG and, reading code ice and stuff that I am not scholastic in, I have no fucking credentials. I'm a line cook, okay? I'm a failed retired line cook who's stuck in a foreign country and her life is always messy. I'm telling you, I don't think it happened that way. I think that there was love. There's different feelings. There's different things that we can teach them as humans, for sure. We have our whole other system and perspective on things, kind of like how a child teaches us. My children teach me all the time. They see things in a different way, and then I'm like, wow, I'm such a pessimistic person. I saw it a different way, or wow, my child is so excited over this little flower, this little thing. Like my 4-year-old just loves when something happens in the garden, and she is just shakes. She's so excited because there's like red clover, and she's just like, can I pick one? And she picks it, and she's just like, this flower is so amazing. And I'm just like, oh, you are so amazing and precious. And I feel like in our own ways, we taught the fallen angels that, and in return, they understood our blueprint, and they understood that we don't have to be limited to just this program, right? Kind of like a computer. When computers first became a thing, they weren't what they are now. And a collective of people, knew their capacity and were still challenging that. I really believe that's the same for us. And our systems that are set in place are set up to keep us stupefied and afraid of death, afraid of living. You don't want to go anywhere because you might get hit by a car. You might not want to we don't understand death in society anymore. We don't, and we mock people who are spiritual too because of our ego. A lot of people, they mock people, oh, you fucking goofballs. I see it even in the occult community toward left-hand path practitioners that are theistic. Yes, there's some fucking oddballs, but you don't know what they're seeing. You don't, just because somebody might be loose in the fucking head doesn't mean that they're wrong, doesn't mean that they're right. But we won't do that though, because I've said this before, and I won't say which channel. It was a big channel, and they made like a scoffing sort of comment in a section on the posts. And they were talking about left-hand path practitioners, and it was kind of like in a judgmental kind of like, oh, these people are ignorant, unhealed idiots sort of way. And I didn't take offense personally at all. But the way that I saw it was, this person has a lot of credentials, and this person is like a voice in the community. And I have no beef with this person. And this isn't even this deep. This is just like, I was high and I was like thinking about it. That person's missing out on understanding something. Because if you're just sticking to the textbook and sticking to your own UPG, you're going to miss out on a lot. If you can just, listen to other people's stories without sensationalizing them or always grasping onto hoping that you feel like something resonates, which is totally fine. Like, trust me, I still go through that. I watch people's videos silently, and I'll be like, fuck, man, that resonates. I don't like commenting too often on people's videos because I forget I'm a creator. And I don't want to be one of those bitches that's like self-promoting and doing that shit. So I just kind of keep quiet unless I'm beefing with fucking people in the comments over stupid shit, like, some random off-topic video. I have no class in that area, I shall admit. But back to this person in particular, like, in my opinion, I'm like, you're judging people's character probably based on what they went through in life and maybe trauma and circumstances. And a lot of us just grew up with a dark note, and we're always dark. And it sounds so cringy, and it sounds so just fucking cringy. Outside of capitalism pushing things like in the early 2000s, Hot Topic and, new metal music and all these things, a lot of us just always were very dark people. It's just an energetic signature that we understood. If you grow up and you have like a hostile childhood, that's going to have an imprint. But some of us, just by our own nature, always felt comfortable in the dark. I've never been afraid of the dark as a kid. I've worn black since I was like 9 or 10. I remember the first time I did too. It's silly. I've just always felt very comfortable. I feel sometimes with a lot of color in the wrong situations. It sounds silly, but I feel like my energy is just naked and screaming, and I'm just like, I'm not really wanting this right now because it's just a lot, and I'm already feeling a lot. But It's not, doesn't mean that I think that we're this special. I think that we just have so many different symphonies as human beings, spiritual symphonies and circumstantial ones, and our life experiences. They all just kind of curate into this, us, you. You're such a unique person. It doesn't matter if your hairstyle is, inspired by somebody else. That's a good thing, except for some of these fucking single white female bitches that will carbon copy. Like, I've been through that sort of shit a few times in my life. I'm not talking about flattery, like, oh, I want to get this. I mean, like, people literally fucking trying to become you, and you're just like, bitch, you don't want that. And I have found inspiration in, like, music from friends and, certain fashions, but it's a whole other thing if you're, like, fucking looking like you're dressed up as somebody for Halloween. Like, bitch, come on. It's like wearing a Batman costume when you're friends with Batman. It's like that kind of feeling. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we find inspiration with each other because we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be figuring out what we like. We're supposed to be collecting resources and trinkets and understanding the elements and just understanding each other without all of this nonsense. And it's really difficult sometimes because when we have so much global suffocation and we have all this tension, and as a collective, they were successful. The system has been very successful at dividing people, dividing families over politics, dividing families over, religion and sexual orientation. And a lot of, humans are naturally gay, and religion went ahead and told all the fucking Bible trumping boomers, oh, no, it ain't, Meanwhile, like, most of the fucking Republicans are gay. Like a lot of them are. They're like, oh, we hate those homosexuals, and then they get caught butt fucking some dude at a motel. It's like, who cares? Why are we doing this? If you're a consensual adult, no one cares, and that's a problem too. And I'm serious, because on the flip side, all the radical liberals, they got marketed to them their false sense of validation, right? You get told all the time, we care about your pronouns, we care that you're gay, we care that you're not white, we care that you're a woman. It's all bullshit. They are fucking manipulating every single one of us, no matter your demographic, no matter your weight, your height, anything. Every single fucking race, everybody, gender has issues. Women, we have fucking issues. It's not just the men, right? But we'll sit here because we have experienced shit from men. We've experienced no accountability from men and compartmental thinking, which is great, but it also sucks when you're an emotional fucking creature that just desires intimacy and desires to just pour your love out to the right person. You just want to be protected and trusted, and you just get fucked right over every single time. It puts a chip on us. Those men have their own issues that were created by other men. I understand that. But they need to fix their own village and not seek comfort in us, and then us go, okay, well, we're going to seek validation from men. We have our own issues. We're fucking vicious to each other. Women are so fucking jealous. We judge each other so harshly. We judge each other for getting old, for getting fat, for being too thin, for having big boobs, small boobs, white skin, dark skin, any type of hair, any type of eyebrows. Like, the fucking things that we put each other through is disgusting. It's disgusting. But the system has made us also simultaneously such victims that we don't have the fucking capacity to fix ourselves. We want the natural gender to fix it, right? We want to be in our natural role. I'm giving, like, not a biased example. I feel fucking external to all of this simultaneously while I've had my own experiences that I can talk about that will chronically be invalidated for a plethora of reasons. Because the system is set up to do that. The system wants us to have a pissing contest with who has it harder. And nobody's listening to each other. And you see it happening. Especially, like I said, older millennials, we really started to understand that there's so many proxy wars going on. It caused a lot of tension, fear. The news started to become very loud in the late 90s and early 2000s. Our generation really started to grow up with that while we were just trying to get through puberty. Like, we really were. We were already angry. Our parents were either dead or divorced or in jail or fucking working their asses off or just completely, falling, to their own sword. Or all of that, all of that. It's difficult. And now we are here, circa 2025. And so many people are starting to understand themselves more spiritually. So many people are understanding that this world is really rigged. There are so many conversations that are coming together that religion has the question marks too. Like, well, how come religion is so inconsistent? You know, how come the people at the bottom are the ones that are suffering and paying the most, and the people at the top are the ones in any Abrahamic structure? They're not struggling to eat. They're not on the streets, you know, barefoot with the people helping them and feeding them. And if they are, there's a fucking camera in front of them. The shirt off their back costs more than you make a month a lot of the times, and they love it. They love every second of that power. It's energy. They get to maintain that, and they get to keep you feeling like you aren't as good. Yet so many of you know how to sew and can make a motherfucking $2,000 shirt, right? With the same quality, just maybe not the price tag and some last name. It's all energy. And when you disconnect from that sort of stuff too, you have a freedom, all right? I struggle with this. I haven't mastered this because it's important to keep up to date with current events. It's important to keep up to date with technology to an extent. It's important to be okay with having forms of entertainment. Like, I'm not against social media. I'm against the fact that, like, on average, people are spending 4 to 12 hours a day. Like, minimum 4 hours, maximum 12 plus hours a day. Outside of, you know, it's your career. I don't know what kind of career, like, people will... I don't have Twitter. I got rid of Twitter years ago. But people will just beef all fucking day. Like 16 fucking hours. And they're like, well, I'm a journalist. I'm like, you should be out journaling then. Not fucking writing in your public journal on here because you want a gotcha argument. You should be out like in Gaza. You should be out asking these questions. I mean, motherfucking Banksy went out and made a statement by painting a goddamn portrait in Gaza. Did more than most of these journalists. Because we operate off of ego and titles. And that's another thing that's been sold to us. So I know it sounds like I'm all over the place. All of this simultaneously is weight. When you hold on to titles, when you hold on to stress, when you're trying to feel something but you're numb and you see all this tragedy and you're traumatized from it, you know, like war and children and all these horrible things that we're exposed to, you're struggling. And then when you go to your practice at times, it feels mundane. You're like, I just don't feel the spiritual air. I don't feel that connection. That's okay. You're just tired. Your magic will always be there. If you aren't in the mood to do spells, and it doesn't mean your life is going to fall apart, all right? There's plenty of people who don't practice witchcraft, and their lives are safe and they're fine. And I do believe that we should have some sort of spiritual protection, no matter how blessed you are, no matter who your patron demon is, no matter any of these things. As a daughter of Azazel and a daughter of Belial, who I feel fiercely protected, and I have had way too many fucking situations in my life to tell me otherwise. I'm going to pull some cards for you, though. I think I'm going to do that. For those of you who want this to resonate, if you're going through this sort of like, almost like emotional purgatory. Yeah, you need to let it go. You got the Nine of Cups in reverse and the Page of Wands upright. It's out of your control, and that's the problem. There's so many things that you want to do, but you don't have the means to do them, or you don't have the energy to try to get the means to do them. But all you have to do is just ground yourself and try to remember yourself spiritually. The Page of Wands to me always represents that spiritual inner voice, whether it's our own, our higher self, or if it's divinity. So yeah, that's it. That's what I'm getting from that. I think that we're all going through global burnout. Those of us who are energy readers, we pick it up and siphon the fuck out of it. And I do believe that you can have systems set up in place. You can have psychological magic too. I do a lot of visualization without using tools. I do both. I love my tools and my crystals and all my things. But I also think that we have to just use our mind. And what I like to do when I go out, and you can start off small, is imagine like a purple vortex around you. My purple vortex around me is like a big ring, and it has a demonic script around it. And for me, it's just protection. And for me, demonic script is always written backwards, like where you start at the right and go to the left. So I'll see like this sort of ring around me of demonic script in purple. And then what I'll see around that is like this blue light, and that's like filters out any sort of negative energy and anything that can kind of creep in and, you know, leak out of that demonic script, if that makes sense. And then what I also do is just imagine like a sphere around me. It can be any type of sphere. It can be like a black sphere, it could be a light sphere, or whatever you want. And I really just go out, and I'm not kidding, time and time again, there will be less and less people. I understand the economy also affects that because there's not as many people shopping. Like, my husband and I went on Christmas Eve just to get a few last minute things, and we didn't even do it all big at all. Nobody was really out. Like, it felt like a normal fucking day. It didn't even feel like 5 p.m. like during the week, you know, at the shops or anything. It was so weird. It was just barren. And usually Christmas Eve, there's a lot of last minute stuff going on. But in general, I have this vortex kind of grow because I do like to be alone when I'm in public. I don't like to be bothered. I notice too, if I go to certain places, all of a sudden people will leave within 10 minutes, and it's not because of me. They're not looking at me going, "A bruja," you know, they're literally fucking just like packing up and leaving. They're just doing their own thing. It has nothing to do with me or my family. We're not like walking up all fucking intimidating and just like, you know, beefing with people. We're just going to the park, you know, with our kids. But I noticed having this sort of visual around me, like starting off small and in small circumstances, by the time you kind of master it, you don't think about it as much. You kind of set it in place because you get so used to it in your mind. It's kind of like how you get used to your own routine, or maybe like your keys. Do some of you have like your key routine down for your car that you can like pop your keys in without looking at the ignition? That sort of thing. Like, just repetitive sort of skills will help you with that, you know, with anything. And that's how it is with magic. So you can do things like that too and help yourself. I also recommend taking a cool cleansing shower after your nice hot soapy shower, because cold water is not going to wash off the dirt. But what I really personally recommend, starting at your crown chakra, if you can withstand cold water. I understand right now it's winter time for many of you, so that's probably not convenient. So it's okay if you don't do this. But I like to just let cool water trickle down, especially my crown chakra and then along the spine. And then just your whole body, and just imagine yourself really feeling cleansed of that stagnation, that bad feeling, because sometimes our own energy will be stuck to us and we'll become weighed down from it because we're not feeling how we want to feel, and we don't think it's hormones. Like, I go through that. Like, I struggle with PMDD, so I know my cycle, and I know when it's time to, you know, be emotionally crazy, and I have outlets, and I do different things during that week. Because I don't think it's cool to use that as an excuse to be like a bitch toward everybody. And normally, outside of that one hell week before my cycle, I'm like a really happy person. Like, I'm content. I like, shit doesn't get me down too fucking long. I like to make my kids and my husband laugh. Like, we're all really goofy, and we're just, my kids and I, my 2 older kids and I will just fucking hella make each other laugh all day. They are so freaking funny, and we'll just come up with some quick ones. But yeah, I think this year's going to be a shit show, and I think that it's time for us to have some fun. I think it's time to get control of our lives and to have fun doing the things that we feel ashamed of doing. And I'll tell you something, you guys. I've been shamed so many times out of making content. I've been doing it on and off for years, and I've allowed myself not to get to where I want to go because I don't even want the fame. I just really like to create, and I'm by myself a lot, and I always have been. And I just really, you get to a point in your life where I love every single person that I've crossed paths with, you know what I mean, that I've had any sort of like relationship, friendship. When I'm a friend, I'm like a friend. And you get to this point where you can't give that to people anymore, and you have to give it to yourself. But then sometimes it gets really hard to do that too. It gets really hard when you feel resentful that you're making all the magic in your own life because no one else is doing it for you. You know, we start to feel sorry for ourselves. And it's valid. It's valid at times. You don't have to make the magic happen sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to cancel plans. Sometimes it's okay to not do the thing that you were supposed to do unless it's really important and you give somebody your word. I really think you should be a woman or a man of your word. It's okay to just be in the present and feel what you're feeling. And just remind yourself that it's going to pass. And do something when you're energetically feeling a little bit better, when your mood starts to boost. Whether it's cleaning your environment, if you struggle with cleaning, I'm going to die on this hill. I recommend that you keep your environment tidy or work toward it, because it really is a reflection on your inner world, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. Your environment is a reflection of that, because our environment we create. Our mind, we take all these tools from earth and all these goodies and all these trinkets and sparkly things, and we decorate or not. I know a lot of gentlemen in particular don't like to decorate. You have like a fucking TV and a chair and something to eat and drink and sometimes smoke, and that's it. And that's fine, but be content with it and be aware of your environment too. I think that it really has a reflection on how we feel. I like to make my home feel so airy and whimsical and inviting for my family. It's peaceful. It's really, even though it's chaotic at times, because we have an autistic child and we got kids in and out, working outside, blah, blah, blah. It's just busy. I make a huge effort at keeping my entity, my home, this living and breathing entity of mine, just a reflection on how I want to feel and what I want it to be like, slowly, with what you have. You don't have to go and buy something or do it. You can just put it on a vision board. And if you feel helpless right now, those of you who the little 2-card reading resonated with, if you feel hopeless because of the economy, or maybe your circumstances too at home are not good. Some people are like, what do? I need a spell to move out of my parents' house. And it's really hard right now for people, especially young people. Just focus on expanding your energetic vortex by aligning with your higher self, figuring out who they are and what you can do in this lifetime to match that vision, without feeling like there's a finish line, without feeling like you're a failure if you don't get there, because you're going to come back anyways, most likely. Like, I feel like a lot of us are going to come back if we haven't finished what we started here, and that's fine. It's going to be a different arena. And I think the more that we become spiritually aware, the more reincarnation, because I believe in reincarnation, it makes sense to me, and that's okay if it doesn't for you. I honestly believe that we will learn more with each lifetime, because we're trying to figure this out. We're really trying to figure this out and actually being sentient, because we are sentient beings. But you would be surprised how many people don't operate like that. And we see it. And we've done it too, perhaps. I've done the whole, you wake up, this is what you do. I've always felt like something's fucking off. This is it. We got to go to school just to get a fucking job that we hate and deal with a bunch of dickheads all day long. And underqualified fucking assholes. Like, there's no ladder to climb, but they keep telling us that it's our fault we're not climbing it. But every time we find a step, we get our fucking knees broken off, Tanya Harding style. How the fuck are we supposed to do anything? And that energy, we give it to those that are in higher in power by doing that, because we're just beefing with them. We're mad at the system. We're mad at the president. We're mad at these politicians. We're mad at the oligarchy. We're mad at the business. They're all eating this up. They're all sitting back. You think that, listen, I'm not on anybody's team. I don't like Kamala Harris. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Trump. I don't like any of them. They all have their own personal agenda at hand first, and they treat the country like a fucking business. Every single politician does that in every country. We all have issues. It's just in America, we have tolerated a fucking lot. We are like a goddamn deep state psyops experiment. We really fucking are. Because look at how much we talk. I'm not trying to blame us. I'm saying how easily programmed we are, and how siphoned we've been. We've been so we've been fucking just annihilated of any validation of anything. And then the people who had it easy, they forget that they knew somebody, or their daddy knew somebody, or they lived at home until they're in the mid-20s, or they, till they're 30. Some of us were emancipated before we graduated high school. I fucking left at 16. This isn't about this linear boohoo me. This is about this meta way of thinking, because this whole system causes this. And we're trying to understand ourselves spiritually. And the best solution that I can give is just to live your fucking life and not be afraid of doing the things that you want to do, to disconnect from people that you are not aligned with. because you're not going to be able to match that energy of when you grow and they don't. You can't force it. I've tried. I nearly killed myself doing that with people. And I fucking had my own issues. It's not like I'm all here perfect and I'm going to lift everybody up because I got it figured out. No, I thought I had it fucking figured out because I wasn't facing my own trauma. And I was shaming everybody else who had theirs that wasn't as big as mine. Like, that I'm going to be completely honest about that. And when you grow out of that with, like, your dark night of the soul and doing your shadow work, which I'm sorry, but there's a lot of, like, left-hand path practitioners in particular who are like, you don't gotta do shadow work. You can do whatever you want. Good luck with that. Good luck doing work with the devil for your own, like, gain and not having any insight on yourself. And see how fucking far that lasts. Like, these are grandmasters at this. The fallen angels and the demons, they're grandmasters at understanding. They have this energetic capacity because they were pushed to that. It's not like, oh, they had to do this. Imagine being in that situation. Any sentient being gets pushed to something. How are they going to respond? How are you going to respond? If somebody keeps poking, takes your loved ones away, takes something that was working. Like, I honestly feel like in Assyria and Babylon, like, things were fucking ran right and there was conflict. Like, my UPG is there was conflict amongst gods. There was conflict amongst humans before the Anunnaki or fallen angels came here. There was already, that's a natural thing. We see that in nature. And Belial has told me, like, himself, and this is UPG, I asked him, like, what does balance look like with humanity? Because I know it can't be all good, because then we just destroy everything, and we still aren't all good, because us, like, as Americans, we thought, wow, this is great. We didn't give a shit that all of our plastic cups and bullshit that we buy are made of from some fucking kids in China. We never gave a shit. We knew it, too. We knew it. But the thing is, like, there's always going to be some more bad than good, because it creates a reason to evolve. That's how he's explained it. But he's saying how everything is right now, it's more of that energy. And he explains it in a, I don't want to say non-compassionate way, in a disconnected way. Like, almost like explaining a board game. And sometimes I challenge that. And I'm not saying that they don't have feelings. It's just, look at how the oligarchy runs everything. Look at how the gods do. Even the god at top, if we're going by, like, actual fucking Gnosticism and actual codice, like, if El is the actual god, because Yahweh is not. The Jewish god is not the real god. Where the fuck is he? You know, where is El? They're so disconnected and they have their own systems, I believe. And that's what I mean by that. Because I'll challenge that. I'll challenge Belial at times. I go, you know, you insert yourself into some of our lives and you govern us. And we didn't do anything we didn't even know about this. Like, sometimes I'll play the victim. Like, I'll be like, I didn't even fucking know the world was this bad. I didn't know that this is real and this and that. Like, why do we have to suffer so much because of a war between gods? And I hate it, because I'm like, well, no, like, humans are born so, like, sweet and so full of just love. If those of you who have children in your lives, they're just freaking full of love. This up. But my best advice is just to be okay with not feeling okay, and not feel like you have to do anything dramatic, not feel like it's hopeless. It's just, we're supposed to be in control of our own lives, and there's so many factors that are controlling and manipulating us and tiring us out. And sometimes we forget that we don't need to ignore issues, but we can log off for a few days from social media. And it's probably hard for a lot of people because we're so used to needing interaction. We're lonely. We're in a really lonely, like, epidemic. Like, look at, between two marriages, like long-term marriages, I've been alone most of them. And that's because people are required to work so fucking hard. And we become divided. We're not nurturing each other and nourishing each other. It's so hard to push through those things. And marriages are dissipating, and people are going no contact with their families more often than not. Like, we were at a 50% rate as millennials for going no contact with your parents. And it's becoming an increasing thing because there's so much just classism plays such a role into it. And people get stuck in their own conviction, also plays a role into it. Fear tactics because of religion. A lot of people are like religious and scared and just fucking angry, and they project that onto people like ourselves. I tell Christians all the time, go fucking preach to your own congregations. Because there's a lot of like famous preachers and stuff I see on YouTube, and they'll go, or like TikTok, and they'll go talk to people in the streets that are dressed a bit spooky, and they go, it's ego. It's like, why aren't you going to the mega churches and doing that sort of shit? Why aren't we fixing our own villages, is my point. Why are we continuing to hope that one of these rich ass fucking billionaires will tell us all the right things so everything will feel and look kind of good again and we can go back to business as usual? Why are we so easily programmable like that? Why can't anybody stick to anything? It sucks. You can't have a God complex with it either. You got to talk to yourself when you're thinking that way, because like occultism kind of opens your eyes to a lot of this shit. And you can't have like this you can have a main character sort of energy within your own quiet life, right? My motherfucking life, I am the main character of. In terms of my content and all my platforms, I'm the main character there. This is my digital home that you guys get to enter. In terms of everyday life, I ain't the fucking main character. I tell my kids all the time, don't you treat me like I'm the main character because I'm your mom. You are entitled to feeling that way, but don't get stuck on it thinking that the whole world knows what you're thinking and feeling and gives a shit. You have to find balance, and you have to have peace in yourself, and you get that peace by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Not stupid ones. I mean, doing things that you know you'll progress in, and you're not wanting to because it's not going to happen fast enough. Like, well, I'm broke now. You're going to be broke in 5 years. You might as well give yourself 5 fucking years. Like for real. You might as well go to school if you want to. And you know that it's, you know, I'm sorry. Like, I'm really on the fence about college these days outside of specific fields because it's a fucking scam. And Americans in particular, we have a really big problem with holding on to our credentials that we usually don't even use. And like, I'm saying me included, you know, because we're just everything's taken from us. Our identity isn't good enough. Our gender's not good enough. Our race or being multicultural is not good enough. Having no culture. A lot of Americans don't have fucking culture because your culture is capitalism. I'm in the gray area of that. Same here. I grew up with a lot of enrichment in diverse culture, but it dissipated over time because of gentrification and just capitalism. It absolutely does. And then the workload's more. There's less home cooked meals. All of these factors. I hold no begrudgment over any of that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I feel so bleak. I feel just numb. And I just want people to feel free with themselves. And I have to be honest about my feelings because a lot of people misconstrued and think that I'm like this forever happy person and I can get through anything. I'm a very strong woman. I can get through anything. I really can. I really can. It's this right here is the hard part. I can get through death, divorce, I can get through betrayal, I can get through everything. I can get through close to death, being close to death. I can get through scary forests and scary men and scary things. The hardest thing for me to get through is my own mind. And the hardest thing for me to do at times is to enjoy doing this. Because I enjoy it, but I also don't feel it at times. Not because I'm forcing it. Like, I want to feel it. Like, I have all these beautiful ideas for projects, and then I just feel weighed down because of this and because of that. You have to just work on it anyways. So you know what I do during those times, you guys? And I'm going to wrap it up. Is I create digital vision boards. I create outfits that I want to wear for some of my podcast episodes because it makes me happy. I like dressing up. I like having fun and just being me. I have nowhere to go. It's 100 degrees, you know, at any given moment here in Australia, and it's too expensive to have fun. So I just dress up and I make my own reality happen. And I can be mocked by people. Look at this fucking loser just dressing up in her suit in her own office at home, thinking she's important. I'm important enough to have fun with my life and take any control that I can get, because I feel, and I don't know if this is like a demonic attachment too. I've been going through this weird, like, is this demonic attachment? Is this why sort of thing lately? And I thought I would have been past that, fresh into my spiritual path. But I feel like I have had so many people try to just keep me down, but not like necessarily just want to abuse me, because that's a thing too. I mean, just try to fucking just tone your energy down. And I'm not like a woohoo fucking ignorant American either. Like, I'm really quiet when I go out. Like, for real. I'm a quiet fucking person when I'm out. I say please and thank you. I'm polite. I get the fuck out of places. I don't like to just be that bitch. But I'm telling you, like, so many people have just wanted to just dilute me so fucking much and tone me down and tone my feelings down, tone my energy, tone my dreams down, tone everything. It's always fine in theory. It's all talk. Everybody will hype you up when you talk about your dreams and you talk big and you think big and you see it in everybody else too, and you hype everybody. You're just wasting your fucking energy. You're wasting your fucking energy. Because the people that are doing that shit, they're not sitting around talking about it. They're actually quiet. They have no friends. They've probably cut off some of their family unless they have complete support from their family. And they're fucking grinding. And guess what? It's not always fun. I feel like social media has ruined even those of us who are older adults, because we'll see other people's lives and we'll go, gosh, I wish I can do that or have that, or I wish I had the energy. You don't know people's stories. I've talked to other homesteaders too who, have autistic kids, and they pump out so much content and they're like on the floor crying that morning. And I'm like, bitch, me too. Me too. So I'm telling you, yes, me too. I was in my office crying at like 8 a.m. this morning because I'm exhausted, because I've been waking up at 4:30 every morning and I've been just working my ass off, and I have to wake up because I have a special needs child, and I have to force myself to be active and healthy so I can handle it. I think we're simply evolving. I think that's what it is. I feel like I'm going crazy at times, and it's not because of occultism. I don't you can absolutely, you can go crazy with occult knowledge. That's why it's so important to ground. It's so important to stay in the present, but it's so important also to not just let the world's issues affect us, even though it feels impossible. Like, so many small businesses in the United States are being cripplingly affected because of TikTok. I am a creator in Australia that's been in TikTok jail for like a year now, so I don't make any fucking creator fund anyways. But there are so many people whose lives are just in turbulence because of a handful of billionaires that are not happy with the narrative and aren't happy with the idea of us not needing them or wanting their services anymore. And that's when it becomes conflicting. It becomes conflicting, and it weighs you down when you have 9 congressmen who all are invested in Facebook Meta that don't want TikTok. But then TikTok, within 18 hours, goes dark in the United States. And now the president saves the day, his first day in office. A lot of experts, IT experts, suggest that they merge servers with Facebook. That way, all of the congressmen get to have their pay cut, and then you get to have the illusion that you're still going to have the same platform that was Chinese owned and governed, that doesn't care about American propaganda, but will now. And as a result, you will be censored even more so. And I will be too, because this is 1984. So my best advice is to stop trying to fight this shit. Not fight the good fight, but not let this consume your energy because it's not being ran in a fair way. Get offline. Go do things. Film something that you're doing and share it with the collective. You can be anonymous. Make your fucking money, you guys. That's a big thing too. Not everybody wants to be on social media, and it's so oversaturated, to be honest. It's the same basic fucking bitches doing the same goddamn shit everywhere. It's like fucking ridiculous. Everybody's jumping on the meme and the trend because this might get views, not because they feel like, oh, this is fun. It should be fun. It was fun for a while. Like, my first year on TikTok, I was making decent coin. I was making good tips, and I felt so good. I was getting lots of views, and it's not about that, but it's like, hey, something that I do, other people out there like, and I can connect with people because I feel so fucking off, and I feel like an oddball on this stupid planet. And now there's all of these like strange, amazing people. And I've always been around Satanists and witches my entire life, like growing up as kids. I've always found my people. It's always been in my environment. I feel very grateful that I've had most of my friends from my past growing up are probably like on or were similar paths. You know what I mean? Like, not to be that sort of person, but it just feels nice because I felt very safe with those people. And you can't always feel safe with those sort of people, all right? I'm not going to glamorize that because there are a lot of issues in the occult community. And respectfully, men, there's a lot of issues. So I'll be back on here in a few days, and then I'll catch you guys then. For now, I'm going to be, I'm focused on YouTube, and I'm going to be posting some old content onto my clips from the other channels. I don't even know if I'm going to be using Instagram or TikTok long term. I'm going to be slowly still keeping the momentum on things, and I'm just trying to migrate to YouTube for now. It's just a fucking shit show, and I'm getting sick of TikTok anyways. Like, I've been in jail for too long there. It sucks because I think there I'm trying to get back what was there, like in 2021, 2022. And there was like more community. I grew really quickly on there and just met a lot of amazing people. And I'm like, I need this. I'm stuck in a foreign country with no friends and like a fucking bunch of kids. I need to have something. And then it kind of gets taken away because AI plays games. It wants you to make the content that's going to keep people on the app the most, even if it's not in your genre. And that's always fucking annoying. So until next time, you Moony Muffins, please take care, and I'll see you on Kitchen Occultist, and I'll still be active on my Instagram stories. Thank you so much for all your messages, and thank you for the reassurance that you want to see more content from me, because honestly, sometimes I feel like I post too fucking much, and I get into my own head, and in reality, outside of some time management issues, I can post like fucking 10 times the amount, like even higher quality shit, because I'm just really busy. So I'm getting there, and just thank you so much for all of your support, and I'll talk to you next time.